was a gambling man,
which luckily since you have reformed, you no longer are.
If I was a gambling man, I would have put a prediction on how this episode would go down.
Right. Similarly to how Dune went down?
Exactly. Marshall and I will have our mouths just dropping open, and you say what an absolute cluster bag of a movie this was, and it was awful, and Oscar Isaac was the worst part of it.
Right. And it could have used more Zendaya. Yeah. That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair.
Welcome to the Movie Men podcast.
Yeah, hello and welcome.
I am Peter, that is Brady, and guesting us today, friend of the show, Marshall, as we review the second installment of Lord of the Rings. Hello, Marshall.
Hello.
What's up, my homie?
Oh, just surviving.
Ready to review one of the most iconic pieces of a trilogy. A piece of one of the most iconic trilogies of all time, is I guess I should say.
I hear that that's to be determined.
Yeah.
We shall see.
We shall see.
I believe Sir Peter has some trivia.
I've got one question for us, and I will give some tidbits before I do so.
All right.
Of interest to Brady, Kate Winslet was apparently offered the role of Éowyn from the Titanic carryover.
Okay, hang on. Let me picture this. Of Éowyn.
Yeah.
I can imagine it, but I don't think it would feel right. She'd feel too well known.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's what I was about to. Yeah, I think she would have done a great job. But I sort of like the fact that I have no idea who the hell this other girl is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The ambiguity of who these people are not being known is.
Yeah.
Of note, and I'm making this up completely. If Kate Winslet had got that role, then Leonardo DiCaprio would have been Faramir.
More than likely, yeah.
Fair enough.
The Battle of Helm's Deep was edited down from 20 hours of usable footage. And I'm here to say I would pay for a ticket to watch all 20 of those hours.
20 hours? Seriously? Okay, wait.
Maybe 4 hours.
4 hours. You would watch a 4-hour battle.
Of Helm's Deep? Have you listened to that soundtrack?
Yeah.
Sure would.
Yeah, but at what point would you just be like how... See, the thing about the Helm's Deep fight is it's good because there's so much variety in it, and there's a lot of crazy riding shields downstairs and doing all kinds of that. At what point when Legolas and Gimli are both at 487 are you okay, that's
enough.
Now you're just fighting. There's no...
It's true.
It's the trick shots that make it.
Yeah. I guess I won't put a number on it, but I'd be intrigued to see an extended battle scene. The last thing before I give the question, this is just filmmaking. You gotta be bold. You gotta be comfortable with asking uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
But the whole sequence in Helm's Deep where there's the battle with the one-eyed warrior who turns to the camera revealing the scar of where his eye would have been before was an actual person who was on set doing some other extra
missing
an eye with a real eye patch, and Peter Jackson politely asked what was under the eye patch and asked another question to the point of finally asking hey, would you be willing to turn and have your eye socket revealed on camera, to the point where the guy was at first no, and then Peter Jackson warmed him up finally to the point of saying yeah, I'll agree to do this. Which again, that I read that and it makes me uncomfortable.
Seems a little manipulative.
It seems a little gray area of what is appropriate for film and getting a certain moment captured. But
have either of you guys ever had a yeast infection?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Why?
Oh, you just said you have to be able to ask the uncomfortable questions. I was just testing it out. You said...
I was so confused.
Yeah, I was just giving it a go. If I'm going to be ready for battle.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Here's the question.
You gotta be ready for the uncomfortable not answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you must be used to that because you're co-host with Pete.
Exactly.
I honestly thought you were rounding out and like somehow an eye socket was going to come up with a yeast infection. Like I was just like waiting for this connection, and now
Of all people, Marshall, you are well aware of the number of times I say something incredibly hilarious. However, it pushes the envelope just a little bit too much, and it's met with maybe some nervous laughter, sometimes no laughter at all, and then
Some
he
sort
leaves
of
me hanging.
clarification for the
Yeah,
audience.
he's like, by the way, and all of a sudden there's a disclaimer. He's
I don't
like,
do cocaine.
yeah, by the way, we don't actually snort orphan tears. And we're like, okay, like, yeah, obviously not.
Oh, one more thing. The third sequel at the time to be nominated for Best Picture. So The Godfather 2 and 3 had done it at the time. Then Two Towers did it. And then of note, Toy Story 3 did it a few years later. So,
Where's the question in here?
no, that wasn't the question.
Okay.
I'm just saying this film
not
is in...
Terminator 2 or Alien 2, eh?
No. This film is in rare territory being a sequel nominated for Best Picture. But my question... The sound of the fell beasts which are in this film that the ring wraiths ride is
man.
actually the noise of what? A seal, a donkey, a bald eagle.
I wish I could hear them right now.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
I think it's a donkey.
I want to say all of the above.
Oh,
I'll go with seal.
If it is all of the above, then I reject your question.
you're right,
'cause
because I
that's-
didn't say that.
Yeah.
So it is a donkey.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah. Brady's for...
Tracking for a clean sweep.
Yeah, you don't know this yet, Marshall, but Brady has been cleaning up quite a bit with the trivia questions, and all the guests are not getting any.
Well, if you only give
Rigged.
them one question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
Let's do some initial impressions. And Marshall, you're the guest. You lead us off. What in 60 or 90 seconds ish? What are your initial impressions of this, the second Lord of the Rings film?
Well, this is the first time that I've watched The Two Towers on its own. I've always watched it in sequence, and I figured
Interesting.
I'd try to watch it without the emotional context of the previous film.
Oh.
That's very interesting.
And my initial thoughts are this film has aged very well. The things that I'm most impressed with in its aging, because it's 20 friggin' years old,
Which is depressing as a side note.
Yeah.
wow. CGI Gollum still holds up so well for me.
Yep.
And, Lord of the Rings got huge bonus features added to their extended edition, every edition they've ever released, about all of the miniatures, the sets, the costuming, the makeup, and I think that holds up without exception. And I think it's because they put so much time and effort into it. So I think for that, it's never not going to look good. And then someday maybe CGI Gollum will look back on it and be like, gosh, he doesn't look like a real creature. But for me, I think he holds up right now.
Interesting. Do you want to go or shall I?
I can go.
Please.
I think I agree for the most part. I think when I watched The Two Towers last, I felt like there was the odd moment where Gollum seemed a little janky now, just in comparison with some of the other stuff. Like, if you compare it even to like other Andy Serkis stuff, like if you compare him to like Caesar from Planet of the Apes.
Sure.
And
I
stuff.
did notice a couple of moments, especially with his fingers, but
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah. Overall, this was so when I was young, when these films were coming out, for the longest time I didn't own the third one.
Oh.
I had Fellowship of the Ring on VHS, I had The Two Towers on DVD, I think extended edition. Like, it was a very broken collection we had here.
Piecemeal together.
Yeah, someone gave for like Christmas or something. I got Two Towers, the extended edition. So I was, by a young age, I was pretty fatigued with this movie because it was one of the only two I had. It was the one that I had that was on DVD, so it looked a lot better than the VHS, so I probably watched it more frequently. And I was fatigued with the bonus features because the only bonus features that I had at the time, like I loved bonus features, and the only thing that I had for Lord of the Rings in the way of bonus features was off the appendices discs from Two Towers. So I saw like it over and over and over, and I still remember like, what's the name of the guy that plays Sam?
Sean
Astin.
Austin, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he, at one point when they're going into the water and he like cuts his foot open on some glass and they like airlift him out of there and stuff like that. Like, it's all, when Aragorn kicks the head and the helmet thing and actually breaks his foot, and so the scream, and that's the scream, that's the take they used, and like all this, so it's all like ingrained in there just because I saw it over and over and over and over and over.
Sure.
Would you say in general you rewatch bonus features for films that you enjoy? Because I think I've only ever watched the extended bonus features once all the way through.
I definitely have seen them more than once. Like, definitely, probably twice as a kid and at least once as an adult.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of time.
And sometimes it's like, so typically it's like, I've just gotten my wisdom teeth out and I can't do jack shit for a week. So I might as well watch these. I have this hot take. Which is that if the Lord of the Rings trilogy was just one super long movie, I think I would say that that movie drags a little bit in the middle. That it goes from being, in the beginning with the Fellowship, we have like rapidly changing beautiful landscapes with all these different locations. We have the Shire. It's fun. There's a lightness to it. There's some impending doom, but we don't really understand the hot water that we're in yet. Towards the end with Return of the King, that's the climax. It's everything's coming to a head. We've got the volcano. We've got Mordor. We've got these sad endings and all this stuff. Right in the middle with the Two Towers, we have Helm's Deep, but that is also like towards the end of this, so it could also be like going into the third act at the beginning. And aside from that, we have, for the most part, we just have like a lot of Rohan. And I like Rohan as a people and as a mythology and as a plot point. But it's just like the whole film has got kind of one color palette, and the whole thing is just like about not even like big epic battles. Like obviously that's what Helm's Deep is, but everything else is just like whether it's the Warg attack or it's like just like preparing for war or like riding on horses to get somewhere or to do this or to do, and it's just like it's just not, it doesn't capture it feels very much like the middle part, right? The Fellowship of the Ring, we have all the excitement of the beginning and setting up that story and figuring out what everything is. Return of the King, we have obviously the excitement of ending it all and that closure and the conclusion. And the middle feels like a transition. It feels like some exposition. Dare I say at times a little bit of filler. And it just ends up dragging for me. I feel like often when I'm watching The Two Towers, I feel like I'm waiting for Ents to greet each other good morning. And I'm just like, oh, okay, are we? No, I don't hate this movie. I don't hate this movie. Yeah,
Nice.
I don't hate this movie. I don't dislike this movie.
Sure.
But I'll tell you right now, it's my least favorite of the three.
Everyone has to have a least favorite.
Yeah, it's my least favorite of the three. I don't dislike any of them. It's still going to get a good score. It's still going to get a great score.
Right.
But yeah, that's my initial impression. I think it's the weakest of the three. It drags a lot for me. It's a lot of the time I can't remember, like if it's been a while since I've seen them, I struggle to remember the events that happen and if they happen in this one or in the next one. And but I never forget the events of the third one. Sometimes I think some of these events happen in the next one, but there's never events in the next one that I think happen in this one. Sure. And I think for me, that's because there's a lot of things in this film that I feel like, and forgive me, are kind of forgettable. So that's my initial impression of the Two Towers.
All right. Oh, now I know how Marshall felt in Dune.
Oh no, I hate Dune. Was a shit show.
My initial impressions. I alluded to this a bit in a different episode, Marshall, but my introduction to this series was actually seeing this film in theater. And then from there, I went and saw Fellowship after that, and then I became a lifelong fan. So it's wild that it's already 20 years later. I would say this is an incredible intro to a film. This is the best intro of all the three films. It's one of the best intros in all of film, and it's one of the best sequences in the entire trilogy, as Marshall shakes his head in disagreement.
Total disagree.
What I will say is that this is the best installment of the trilogy. This is the best second part of any trilogy. And this is as close to it gets as far as perfection in the trilogy.
Wait.
Wow.
Wait. Back the F up.
Okay, to which part?
To before Brady was distracted on his phone.
The best second part of any trilogy.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree.
Sure.
But I want to list off some films.
Please.
And I want to see if you, and don't just go, yep. Just like,
I gotta be real. Yeah, okay.
Some of these I know are not gonna beat this out.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
The second one?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're talking about
Lols.
second installments.
Yeah, yeah, definitely laugh out loud.
But you haven't seen Terminator or Terminator 2.
No, I can't comment on that.
See,
You
that's...
also haven't seen the Alien franchise.
That is true, so I can't comment on that.
See, that makes it tricky.
Well, maybe it makes my statement more true. In your eyes. I'm just saying, if those second installments are great for you, this is the world that I know.
Empire Strikes Back.
I do like Empire Strikes Back, but it is, like, I think in my hierarchy of the 9 Star Wars films, I think it's like fourth or probably like fourth best. So it's fine. It's respectable, but I like Two Towers better.
Okay, I think I'm out of things.
Yeah, honestly, this film...
Toy Story 2.
Godfather films usually gets thrown in there.
I've never seen the Godfather films.
Toy Story 2.
Toy Story is
Call
good.
yourself the movie man.
It's different. This film, for me, the reason it's the best of all the sequels is, for me, personally, and obviously Brady felt different from what he told us,
Oh, yeah.
I felt that most second films, like the second Matrix, like however many dozen Hunger Games there are,
Cats 2.
a lot of these films that are cash grabs are just setting you up to get you back in to the what?
Do you know why you think this is the best sequel of all time?
Let me finish. Most sequels are just filler expositional stuff to set up events for the third film. And to a degree, that does happen with Two Towers. Like, things are set in place for what is still to come. But for me, and this is proof in the pudding, I can, and I did 20 years ago, I can watch Two Towers by itself, and I am still okay with it. I don't watch it at the end going, I can't, it's not that much of a cliffhanger that it was just a cheap gimmick to get me to watch this to really pay money for the third film. And that's how I feel.
Wow.
What I was going to end this...
Do you know why? Do you know why you think that The Two Towers is the best second installment in any series ever?
What was that?
Because you and I have not watched and reviewed Paddington 2 yet.
Oh.
If anything can dethrone it.
So, Marshall, a friend of the show, Jesse, who has been on this show
Has he?
back in the day for Empire Strikes
Star
Back.
Wars.
Ah, Jesse!
He of all people, and I mean this as a compliment to Jesse, like highbrow, like not mainstream. He said Paddington 2 was worthy of an Oscar, and that he teared up at parts of it.
I have not heard someone give a bad review for
There
Paddington
must
2.
be where there's smoke, there's fire. I think something is on with
We gotta
Paddington
get on this.
2. Yeah,
I
just gotta get on
started it and turned it off. But
Yeah,
maybe that
see,
was just not being in the mood.
Yeah,
Maybe.
see, I wanted to do that with this shit film called Dune, but I was obligated to keep watching.
I mean, you could
Anyway,
Actually, I wanted to do it with Lost in
Translation.
but
Cut.
God, it's such an awful. The person I was watching it
But you
with was
didn't
literally
do it with
like
cats.
I wish.
the person I was watching it with was literally like, "F this, I'm going to bed. Life is too short." And it's going to be even shorter if I have to finish watching this.
I'm so hurt. I'm like Frodo's neck when he wears the ring and it's like chafed and sore and bleeding. That is what I feel like every time Brady brings up Lost in Translation. I'm like, okay.
Like, you know when it's a hot day in the summer and they're spreading like pig shit on farms nearby and the whole town just reeks? Do you know what I mean?
I don't, but keep going.
What do you mean you don't?
I find I do. Keep going.
I'd rather that.
Oh, come on. You would rather that than Bill Murray. Come on.
No, Bill Murray's fantastic. It's not his fault the movie's horrible. It's the script.
I will agree to disagree.
All right.
And I will say my favorite part of this series is this film. And I will end my initial impression on a question that was going to be funny, but now is just me wiping away tears after Lost in Translation. My question remains after this film: how does Legolas only end up with 43 kills when he had 19 after like the first 2 minutes? And then, like, did he go on a Starbucks run? Like, what was he doing the whole night?
Especially considering there was, 20 hours? 20 hours of footage, you said?
20 hours of footage is
Yep.
right.
Like, what was he doing?
Like, playing rock, paper, scissors.
I think he also is the one who takes out one of those ladders as it's midway.
Yes.
Which means everyone on that ladder and everyone
Yeah,
it
but you
landed
can't-
on.
But you can't count that because you don't know how many.
Well,
He
according
might
to the
count.
rules
He's got
that Gimli...
L5s.
according to Gimli, with that
the
would probably still
elephant-
only count
yeah,
as one.
Still only counts as one.
I would assume.
Well, the elephant only counted as one.
Yeah, the ladder,
Oliphant.
the different rules. All right. Well, I mean,
They should have established their rules ahead of time.
oh, absolutely. We'll get into the dislikes, and I'm afraid to ask who should start this segment.
I'll do it. No, I mean, I've already kind of sort of talked about them. I just think
Yep.
that it, like,
No.
you know, I think it drags. I think, you know, there's not enough. All of the Rohan stuff. So like part of the wonder and mysticism of the Fellowship of the Ring is there's hardly a single setting in which you could look at it and go, oh, this just happened in our world back in medieval times. Like it is these beautiful different landscapes. Much like with Mordor, like Mordor in Return of the King is clearly not our Earth. Rohan and all the Rohaven, right? They're just
Rohirrim.
like, I just
yes.
find, yeah, whatever it is. I just find
Come on.
I just find that I'm not interested. This is actually, here we go. I've figured it out.
Sure.
Because for the most part, the Gondor stuff doesn't interest me either. And I
Agreed.
think I'm just not interested in the stories of men. in this world.
Agreed.
Okay.
Aragorn's a bit of an exception because he's a Dunedain, and so there's kind of some really interesting stuff in his past and stuff like that. As I made painfully clear in our Fellowship episode, Gandalf is not human. So people go, well, what about Gandalf? Okay, well, he's not human. But the average moviegoer doesn't, like, the movies don't explain that. They don't explain that he's another.
Yeah.
And so I just don't, like, I love Rivendell. Love Moria and the tomb of Balin and then Mordor is interesting with the orcs and obviously, Shelob and the Nazgul and
Yes.
and the Nazgul and Minas Morgul and stuff like that. I don't so much of the Two Towers. Even the Ents are pretty interesting because there's like you're discovering this history about these beings and how long have they been here and the history of Fangorn. But so much of the Two Towers is about the race of men, and the race of men in Middle Earth just doesn't interest me. I just don't care, and so I think that's why it drags for me is because I'm like, it especially when it's just like these little, like the warg attack does nothing for me because I don't care. Right? I just don't. Helm's Deep is this big, immense, beautiful. It's raining. It's nighttime. It's whatever. But everything else, the faked relationship, the forced relationship between Éowyn and Aragorn,
I will say that I do have time of day for that. It is a little weak, other than like him being attractive and her being single.
Oh, I'd do him.
What really, like, there's the moment where she says, yeah, like, I don't want to be locked in a cage, and there's some emotional connection of him acknowledging that. So it's like, sure, there's some stuff, but the fake enjoying soup and like all this other stuff, it's like, it does seem forced. Like, there's really not a lot of foundation to why they should like each other or why anyway.
So anything in it that's like that is Middle Earthian, I really enjoy. Right?
Yep.
Like even Wormtongue. I see. I'm getting my Harry Potters mixed up. Wormtongue is fun, even though he's human, and so is the king. There's a dark magic to that. There's a something going on that feels ancient and old and wicked and stuff like that. And so everything else, though, like anything that's just like, oh, okay, here's, these people want our help. No, they can go F themselves. I'm the stuff in the woods with Gandalf is great. Seeing him finish off the Balrog is great. All of that is really awesome. The stuff with Frodo and Sam is great because we're really beginning to unpack sort of the duality of Gollum and Smeagol. But yeah, just anything where it's just like Gondor or Rohan. There's not a lot of Gondor in this one.
I think I can definitely feel. Yeah, I can definitely feel the whole, like, I think I would agree with that sentiment of, like, stuff focusing on men is maybe of less interest for me. But I would say more just Gondor, because I think the Rohan would be the exception to me, just having this, like, Norse feel and, like, this mythical kind of, like, rustic feel that their kingdom and heritage has. So I would say for me that one race of men is the exception, but otherwise, yeah.
Which makes sense because I typically have never been interested with Norse mythology, and until Taika Waititi got involved, I didn't care about Thor or the character Thor.
Right.
Certainly not Thor: The Dark World.
And you also didn't love the Northmen. Which I think has.
I didn't love it. No, I appreciated it for what it was, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. Yeah, so I think it's just like, oh, this is a movie. If this weren't Lord of the Rings, this is content that I wouldn't watch.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Whereas something
Brady,
like
have you
elves
read
and stuff, I would watch.
Silmarillion?
Not all the way through. No,
Because that's
but I've
mostly elves, right?
Yeah, so I've read a lot of it, and I also follow a couple of YouTube channels that are run by. One of them for sure is run by a guy whose actual, like, his paying job, his career, is that he is a Tolkien
scholar.
Expert,
like he's a historian, a Middle Earth historian, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about, he
job.
answers people's questions on Twitter, and he's definitely gained access to further texts. Like he has unpublished. He's certainly read over and is well versed in all of Tolkien's unpublished stuff as well, and
And all of Christopher Tolkien's history of Middle Earth books.
Yeah. So getting into stuff like the origins of the Balrog and
multiple versions of stories and characters and everything.
Yeah, Middle Earth before the West flooded, right, and before that became a coast, and again back into like the Celebrimbor stuff, and which I'm hoping. I see no reason not to get Celebrimbor in the Rings of Power. I hope. Better happen. Anyways, so
I don't have much skin in that game.
Those are the things I don't like.
We have mentioned, Marshall, I have a fear that the fate that was the Hobbit films might have the same fate as the Lord of the Rings television show, but we shall see.
I don't think we'll have the same problem.
Okay.
The big problem with the Hobbit was he didn't have any time to actually edit it the way, or edit it beforehand the way he did with Lord of the Rings. He was taking over for Guillermo del Toro, right?
Yeah, so that's a thing. And actually, this is a little bit of a Coney trail, but when we're talking about extended editions versus theatrical versions, it's okay. So I would say when you're watching the Hobbit films, the Lord of the Rings, you got to watch extended edition. When you're watching the Hobbit, if you enjoy them or you really want to go the full 9 yards, watch the extended editions. But if you're just like, okay, I need to know the story and whatever, then watch the theatrical version for 1 and 2. Never watch the theatrical version of the third one. Always watch the extended edition. And the reason being is because much like what Marshall just said, they ran out of time. So the version, like objectively, the version of Battle of the Five Armies that was played in theaters, the theatrical release, is an incomplete version.
Gosh.
Like there's stuff that he left out just because they ran out of time, not because it was a better cut of the film.
Right.
So no matter what, the extended edition of Battle of the Five Armies is a better film, and they actually finish storylines. Like stuff makes more sense. You're left, if you watch the theatrical version of Battle of the Five Armies, you're left going,
What?
But what about this and this and this and this?
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Marshall, I will hand it over to you. What did you dislike? And to bring the listener behind the curtain, I will remind you, when you're talking, maybe just face more directly to your microphone, just so that it directly picks up what you are saying.
For sure, yeah.
And that being said, what say you?
So, I would agree with a lot of what Brady said about the race of men and the politics around them. This one, again, mostly deals with Rohan. And when I was younger, when I first was head over heels for Lord of the Rings, I refused to accept that there was anything wrong with Lord of the Rings. And now I've come back to them and sort of given more of a nuanced opinion about them to myself, allowed myself to see their flaws. And one of the things that has been there since the very beginning has been a dislike of Rohan, of Theoden, especially of Éomer for some reason. I've never
Really?
liked his casting for some reason. Could just be preference.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the Éomer?
The cousin.
Carl
like the-
Urban?
Yeah.
Carl. Is
Yeah.
that the name?
I'm not a
same.
big Carl Urban fan.
Okay.
I know a lot of people really are.
Really loved him in the Star Trek films. I thought he did great.
Sure.
But
I think I only saw him in
never liked
Dread.
him in Éomer.
Yeah, I just saw him in Dread, and that was enough for me to be like, okay.
I actually like him as Dread. But yeah, I didn't like him as Éomer, so I agree that Rohan is lacking for me. I'd say of all of the things that happen in Rohan, Helm's Deep is one of the better parts, and I mean it has all of these Uruk-hai and elves and stuff that aren't just the politics of humans. And fortunately, we don't see too much of Gondor. I don't really love the Boromir flashback that's in the extended edition, but I do like sort of Faramir and his merry men. But yeah, in general, I'm not a huge fan of Rohan. My biggest complaints this time rewatching Two Towers, there's a couple. One of them is the Aragorn and Arwen scenes. I can't. Yeah.
Oh, Arwen. Sorry.
Yeah,
Arwen.
not Éowyn. Arwen.
Oh.
The flashbacks, the dream sequences, the visions, whatever they are. I'm not a fan of those.
Exactly, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, because it's like some of them are clearly flashbacks, but then there's like dream sequences, but she's like, it's kind of like what they did in Star Wars, where they were like having lightsaber fights or like giving each other stuff through these like force visions, because she's like, yeah, it seems like a dream, but then
it's
he
not.
wakes up and he's got
The
her little
implication
pendant.
that
Yeah,
her
and it's like,
spirit
whoa,
is
what just
what's
happened?
waking him up or something.
Yeah.
I really dislike those.
So one of an almost dislike for me, jumping ahead, was they at one point, and they have film footage of this, like they filmed this and this was the plan at one point. Arwen was actually going to be fighting at Helm's Deep, and
Oh my goodness.
right? So, and instead they went with the dream sequences. I didn't have a problem with the dream sequences, but I'm just saying,
Could have been worse.
Sure.
Could have been The Hobbit.
Not even that. But I understand what their point is. In the books, it's fine to go a long period of time without mentioning Arwen. But in a film, they really need to remember, like, this is his love interest. There's this special thing. And they need some touch points with her. So I get where they say, okay, it's been like 3 hours of film and we need to remember, like, there's this connection. And, you know, I get it. Maybe if it was more clear that it's a daydream versus just they're connecting, I get maybe that's a bit of a problem. But I understand, like, that was their point. They wanted to at least have them have a touch point, and it could have been a heck of a lot worse.
So, aside from it not happening in the book, walk me through why her fighting at Helm's Deep is so horrible. Because I hear that and I think, I would have liked to see her in doing some badass action stuff, because when we do see her doing badass stuff in the Fellowship of the Ring, right, the if you want him, come and get him stuff, I was like, she
knows her
she's
stuff.
pretty fierce.
I'd say a problem that we have in The Hobbit is where they take a nugget from the books and then take it 10 miles, and they take it too far so that it's saturated or it's not enjoyable. What they do, in my opinion, is fine. That they bring the elves to Helm's Deep and that elf leader is there, which he is obviously not in the books. And it wasn't too much for me, and it was enough of a touch that I had no problems with it. I guess I'm open conceptually to Arwen being there, but I also just... It would have to be done very carefully so it's not forced.
See, so yeah, I'm not a stickler for stick to the book.
Sure.
And so the example that you gave with The Hobbit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like the whole love interest that they added into The Hobbit with that chick, whatever her name is, And
Yeah.
the dwarf, it was like, no, that's garbage. A lot of people, and at first, you know what? At first, I was bent out of shape when Legolas showed up. I was like, what? Seriously? However, although at no point in any of Tolkien's texts is it ever confirmed that Legolas was in the Woodland Realm at the time of the dwarf, like Thorin and company being there. That is his father.
Yeah.
And it is, so unless he was off on some mission or
Doing something.
doing something,
Yeah.
it is very likely that Legolas was there when Thorin and Bilbo and all them went through.
For sure.
So I would have been okay, and it would have been a really nice wink and a nod to simply have him make even an unspoken cameo.
For sure. That would have been great.
But
Fair.
all of this shit with, and then they bring him back, and he's in Lake Town and all of that. That was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
No problem with Legolas having a cameo. It's
Yeah, because it makes sense. It makes sense. He
sequences
would have
they
been
added.
there. Yeah.
So are you have the same with Arwen, like Marshall? Like
No, I
as far as Helm's
disagree.
Deep?
I actually don't like Liv Taylor, whatever her name is.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
like her
Tyler.
acting at all.
Oh.
And so I can't imagine enjoying her presence at Helm's Deep. It would have added a completely different, like, I feel like Aragorn would have been more focused on her, like, or they would have shown some sort of relationship tension there instead of focusing on like that trio dynamic of Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, which is like one of the best through lines of this film, I think. And then they also would have then either needed to have Arwen continue with them or go back to Rivendell for some reason. So I don't see any
Right.
reasoning for that
being there.
to be something that would tie in. I'm really glad she wasn't there. And I don't even have a problem with flashbacks. Like, I think the fact that Arwen and Aragorn's relationship is this really interesting, rich backstory is cool, but Peter Jackson basically just made a bunch of scenes where they're lounging and kissing and like and he doesn't do it well. There really doesn't seem to be this real.
Are there hammocks in Middle Earth? Sure, yeah, we can put a hammock in Middle Earth. Let's do it.
I don't think Peter Jackson is great at romance.
Would you have
I-
preferred it if Arwen was played by Liv's father, Steven Tyler?
I unfamiliar
What, the lead
with
singer
Steven
of
Tyler.
Aerosmith?
Oh, what?
Unfamiliar.
Yeah,
with
she's the daughter of the
anything
lead singer of Aerosmith.
I'm not a fan of Aerosmith, but that still blows my mind that
Yeah.
there's a connection.
Yeah, look at her lips. It's the same lips. It's a big Steven Tyler. Really? You don't?
Yeah.
Anyways,
no,
all right.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
No comment. I have no
feel like-
skin here.
John Williams' son is the lead singer or part of the group Aha. I'll just see myself out.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say the Aragorn Arwen thing is one of the big things for me. And I've got a couple of like real. There's at least one thing that's just real small, and then a couple of scenes that I had problems with. So one of them is in the scene where the Nazgul's flying over the dead marshes with Sam and Frodo and Gollum. They've got this ominous music going on, and they're all afraid and being very scared, and and then they focus on the Nazgul sniffing, and this time it just didn't work for me at all. Like, there's nothing ominous about this. Like, for whatever reason, I'd never really noticed it in previous viewing, but I was it didn't. I think they should have gone in a different direction and not been so true to the source material, if that's what was
What it was.
from that initial scene in Fellowship. Another thing that I was not happy with, and I've never been happy with this, is the scene where Gandalf comes back and they use the audio trickery of putting Christopher Lee's voice in the audio with Ian McGregor's voice, and it's just to trick the audience, right? Like, there's no actual reason to have put Christopher Lee's voice in there from a story point. I think they could have made it a little bit, I don't know, less clear that it's Ian McKellen maybe, but the fact that they added Christopher Lee's voice made me upset. And then when they attempt to use their weapons against him, it just feels like the most clear use of CGI in this film. And so I really dislike that element of that scene as well. And then another thing that's never made any sense to me is when Frodo and Sam have just gotten to the gates of Mordor and they're seeing the army that's going in, and Sam trips and starts tumbling down this sand dune. And Frodo's running down and like hiding, quote unquote, but from the way the camera is showing, it's like the guy who's walking over to see what this cloud and what this sound is obviously would see them. Like, I don't understand. They could have really tried harder to make this scene look like it makes any sense, but it doesn't. It's really just it doesn't make any sense. I'm really impressed with the practical effect of making the cloak look like a rock. I think that was a really fun ending of that scene, but them falling down to be seen or not seen by this guy when they're obviously in clear vision, that I had a big problem with that. But as far as scenes, I don't really have a ton of problems with individual scenes in the Two Towers besides those ones.
Sure.
I did find, especially in some of the scenes where it would go from daylight to nighttime, it felt like really rushed. So I feel like that might be a bit of a pushback against the idea that the Two Towers is a bit of a drag, because I actually felt that the scenes were really jumping at, like, they're trying to imply that so much time is going on for all of these trips. But in reality, it feels really quickly paced in a way that doesn't feel natural. I think it would have made more sense if they'd spent time there in the daytime, go to another storyline, come back and it's nighttime.
The Twin Towers drags. Did you hear that?
I said it doesn't drag.
Doesn't.
I think it goes too fast.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I find it very fascinating that you are a Twin Towers apologist.
Mm-hmm. And Two Towers, not twin.
Oh, did I say twin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
whoops.
Oops. Freudian slip there. And I've brought up some stuff that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And Marshall's brought up some things that he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And both times you've nodded and went,
Only out of respect.
No, there were some things. What was the thing that he said? And you were like, oh, that really drives me nuts.
It was, maybe this is a good segue into my dislikes.
Yeah, okay.
I also, just the whole Eowyn Aragorn thing, there's the argument to have that it's not true or authentic to the books, but I also just watch it and I always go, why? Like, there's not a lot of on-scene chemistry that makes me go, yeah, like, there's really a lot of stuff feeding into it, so it doesn't really make sense to me, like the fake deet soup and the changed glances, I guess. I don't know. The near miss we talked about, I don't buy the Arwen being at Helm's Deep. Doesn't really work for me. I don't mind the dream sequences, so I think that was better for me, and I got the touch points of those two characters being together. There was a continuity flaw for me that Faramir has the flashback to when he found Boromir, and the fact that Boromir's body is still intact in that boat after going off a waterfall is completely farcical.
Like, I think it's meant to be a dream sequence or vision. I don't think it's actually meant to be that he found the boat with Boromir in it.
Well, now I just feel silly. But if it's not a dream sequence, I don't know, because he's probably at the bottom of the waterfalls getting, like, swirled around and whatnot.
Maybe. He does actually mention that the cleaved horn
Yes.
showed up. So maybe you are
Right.
picking up on something that I interpreted in a different way.
Yeah, that's true. He does mention that the horn showed up cleaved in two. So, yeah, I guess it's just a bit ambiguous of what really was seen. The last thing I'll talk about, and it's not specific to Two Towers, it's throughout the whole story, but just the whole fact that the fate of the free world is riding on Frodo, who, just for me, it doesn't really jive as an adult. Like, understanding from a narrative that, hobbits are the courage in all of us, and even the littlest and smallest and most, mundane can do special things, great. But just basing the fate of all, and like, on such a woefully, inadequately ill-equipped individual is just the stupidest thing. Like, the fact that he's not with Aragorn, the fact that he's not with Legolas anymore, he needs to be with them as they go through the marshes, and just the whole fact that they arrive at the gates of Mordor with no actual plan. Like, Boromir had it right. You don't just simply walk into Mordor. What's your plan? So I guess just underlying what the whole narrative and plot point, like what their plan is a little bit disconcerting, but yeah.
Two Towers sucks.
No, it doesn't. No,
I think that's more crucial to the Lord of the Rings story overall, actually.
Yes, I would agree. You can trace
Pete
that back
hates
to
the Lord of the Rings.
You can trace that back to the Council of Elrond. Yeah. Jumping ship to what we like.
I just wanted to note one other thing.
Please.
I wouldn't quite feel confident saying it's negative, but since the last time I've watched Lord of the Rings, I've watched a lot of films, especially films that would sort of lean into the art film category, and been paying a lot of attention to sort of the way that films are made. So watching Lord of the Rings, it's Two Towers this time, I was paying attention to stuff like cinematography and the lighting and stuff like that. And one of the things I noticed is there's not a lot of composition. That, like, it doesn't feel like they were intentionally creating compositional shots. It felt like it was more or less like an economical decision of, like, this guy's talking, so we're just gonna show his face, and this guy's talking, so we're gonna show his face. And there wasn't a lot of, like, creating beautiful scenes. There's a couple for sure, and I would say most of those, for me, the ones that I preferred in the Two Towers happened at the Dead Marshes. But in general, it didn't lean into the sort of cinematography that I've tended to find really, or my favorite films tend to utilize more. And it just seems to be more about using the camera to tell a story, and that's it.
Interesting point. I will now have to re-examine this the next time I watch this trilogy in 5 years. And now you've got me concerned.
And not to say that every film needs to have the same method to why they're and how they're using cinematography, but for me it was something that I hadn't really noticed in all of my previous viewings, and this time it was, that's why I haven't noticed it. It's because it's just sort of there to show you the story and not really much more.
Right.
I found.
Yeah. All right, now there must be good things to talk about this film.
Oh yeah.
I'm praying. I'm going to lead it off on a positive note. And then you guys can do what you will with it. Two things. It's in two categories. The first is character growth. That is what I think is just rich about this film. And then there are just actual, like, perfection, like, perfect scenes. So it's pretty brief, but it encompasses a 3-hour movie. So it just because my list is brief doesn't mean what it is not it's not insignificant. So we got Frodo. I feel he grows, like, just in his empathy towards Gollum. The whole Gollum narrative of looking into what Smeagol is, and, like, just the fact that an individual forgot what their actual name was. Like, he's surprised when he said, "Oh yeah, that's my name." So his depth, Aragorn. Him wanting Arwen to be going with her people, and the whole aspect of like maintaining immortality and leaving him behind and all this. I thought that was an excellent storyline. And even Boromir's a deceased character is given depth in Faramir's flashback, and his motivations of, why he went to the Fellowship, and even why he was wanting to get the ring. And we've hit on this before, like, it's not totally just aspirations. Yes, the ring was playing evil on him, but he had some degree of wanting to do good with it. And so I just found that there were characters that weren't even still alive in this trilogy that I got depth on. So I thought that was great. And perfect, I'm talking perfect sequences for me. So the introduction of Shadowfax, like the soundtrack, the landscape of Middle Earth and New Zealand, and like the character depth of Gandalf saying like we've been through many dangers together, and this alluded relationship between beast and man. Balrog intro I already talked about, like best intro of the trilogy, best intro in probably any film ever made on Earth.
Wow.
The slow motion legless sniping warg riders. Listen, I liked it when I was a kid. I like it now. It's amazing. And then the whole aspect, or Arwen talking about like the future and what was foreseen by her father, and we see this visually with the soundtrack of just what her life will look like if she stays and what that means, and just actually putting yourself in that picture of like, is it worth staying for like an eternity of loneliness?
And the fact there's actually one scene during that sequence that also falls into that like compositional shot that I really appreciated, was when Arwen's standing next to the grave of Aragorn, who's got this statuette version of himself on the grave. I thought that was a really, really pretty scene.
I agree.
And it lingers there for a nice, decent amount of time.
Right. Yep. Aragorn's resurgence back at Helm's Deep. Again, recurring theme here. The soundtrack amplifies everything, so it just builds and builds and builds until you get this pan shot of him arriving to Helm's Deep. Gandalf's arrival at the rescue of Helm's Deep. I actually got goosebumps when, he says Rohan stands alone, and your favorite casted character says not alone. And Éomer says, let's go do this. And just marching down. I read this, and I guess I never really made this connection, but like it's a scene straight out of Revelation, like just like this riding on horseback, saving the day. Like it's powerful. It's magical. The lighting in that scene just does everything for me. So those scenes for me are perfection. And obviously the soundtrack that has been done so well obviously adds to it. If it was bad soundtrack, none of these things would be anything but flat. And so the scenes, the characters, I think there's just so much richness that you get a bit of in Fellowship. It comes close, and I don't think you get quite as much in Return of the King, just because there's so much else going on, of like this battle, that battle, this going on. So that's in a nutshell what is great about a 3-hour film, and I stand by it. Now I don't even know who I want to ask to go next, because I'm just scared.
I can go next.
I'll let Marshall go next.
So as far as the scenes that are cinematically beautiful, with like really interesting lighting and stuff like that, one of the interesting scenes for me is when Smeagol first is introduced, and he's up on the rocks, and he's got the moonlight in the background, and he's starting to climb down the mountain towards Frodo and Sam. The thieves. It's always felt really Shakespearean to me for some reason. That like couple of lines and the way it is framed, and that is definitely one of my favorite scenes visually that happens in Lord of the Rings. As far as scenes, I really love how much you've been digging on the scene with Éowyn giving soup to Aragorn, because that's actually one of the 3 scenes I wrote down.
Really?
That extended scene is one of my favorite scenes in Lord of the Rings. For starters, it's this like, it's really funny, and humor is definitely something that I think Peter Jackson did really good in infusing it throughout the whole trilogy, is how much humor used. But that like obviously Aragorn is not interested in the soup and doesn't think it tastes good, and that like awkward humor is really funny. Secondly, the fact that she like questions like my did you go to war with this like old guy? That must mean you're really old. That's a little like really nerdy element that they're revealing how old Aragorn is and how that is tied to his Dunedain heritage. And then thirdly, I actually have always loved the way that soup looks. And I recently I thought it looked like it might be like a fish or something like that. So I looked up fish soup sometime, I think last year or maybe 2 years ago. And I found this recipe for congee soup. And that I've been making ever since because of that scene in Lord of the Rings. And it's my favorite fish soup that I've ever had before. So that's
interesting.
One thing.
I want to jump on your back. I think I also agree. I love that scene. I just don't like the forced romance. I think if it had been more platonic, I'm there for that.
I don't think it's a forced romance. I think he's doing something interesting where Eowyn is obviously head over heels for Aragorn. But Aragorn is literally twice, if not more, her age, and is in love with an elven maiden who is probably like 4 or 5 times his age, and he's grown up around elves and the wisdom and history of elves. And like we've said, the history of men in Middle-earth is like nothing. So the fact that she's interested in him is kind of like when like a little girl has like a crush on an adult and the adult kind of like smiles at them, and obviously there's no actual attraction there. That's how I've always seen Aragorn's response to Eowyn. She's like infatuated with him and thinks he's the coolest thing she's ever encountered and super respects him, but he's not seeing her as like a potential romance. He never actually like bats his eyes at her. He just kind of like tries to play the friend card all the time, or maybe the dad card.
That's actually a really good point. I've never considered that because there's a huge age difference. And you're right, he doesn't lead her on. It's just that whole card of like, okay, I realize what's going on and I'm going to try and be subtle about what's going on just so that like I don't like hurt your feelings. But like, there's nothing going on here. So,
and one of the beautiful things that the book delves into a little bit more, I thought Faramir kind of feels like discount Aragorn, if you will, and especially in the book where he's not like daddy problems. And so the fact that she naturally is drawn to Aragorn, and then when she meets Faramir, she falls in love with Faramir, it makes a lot more sense, whereas in the movie it's kind of, they don't feel like the same kind of character, and they're kind of very, very similar in the book. As far as other scenes that I really, really love, Theoden's exorcism, the whole scene with them coming in, the choreography of them fighting the henchmen as Gandalf is walking towards Theoden, and the Theoden's like old age makeup and his like the way his eyes are just absent is just really well acted. And Wormtongue, like you already mentioned, I think he's probably my favorite human character other than Aragorn that's in this. He's the most like interesting character. You like love to hate him. I
told you to take the wizard's staff.
And I think they use the same trick in this scene of mixing Theoden's voice with Saruman's voice, and this one actually makes sense because he's possessing him. So I think that actually makes sense, and I really enjoy that.
But I'd argue
I've also really been impressed with the de-aging makeup that they do.
Before I'm cutting you off, and I will come back to Theoden. This thought just came to me, so I can't sit on it any longer. Maybe it does make sense.
Wait, if it just came to you that you haven't been sitting on it at all. It just came to me and I refuse to wait at all.
No, but it's of the point. It makes sense to have the voice crossover of Theoden and Saruman, but it maybe makes sense to have the voice crossover of Gandalf and Saruman because Gandalf says, I am Saruman, or is Saruman as he should be.
Well, of course, that's their way of justifying it. But
Yeah.
what
It's never
he's
bothered
not
me.
tapping into Saruman's like Mayan spirit or anything like that. He's just
guess.
saying like, I'm replacing his role. It's like if a president came in and was like, well, the last president, he's been kicked out of office. He's refusing to admit that he's kicked out of office, but I'm the new
Fine.
president. You don't also say, by the way, I'm going to do an impersonation of the previous president.
Fine, you're right.
I would.
Back to Theoden's
Of course you would.
exorcism.
Yeah.
And the last full out scene that I really, really, really love is Gollum versus Smeagol. That whole like back and forth that they do. I think it's one of the best storytelling.
Leave now and never come back.
It's emotional. By the end of it, you're like so proud of Smeagol for having like made a right decision, and then it immediately switches to like showing the result of him being free of that oppressive personality, and you see him giddy, and
He gets
and
a little
you
pink
see
in
like
his face.
Frodo and Sam responding to him and like, wow, like what has happened? And there's this hope that's in the air, and he's like giggling. And then you've of course you've got the scene with Sam starting to cook the conies and talking about how he wished he had taters, and like that whole like smattering of scenes right there. I guess it would be sort of a scene and a half or two scenes together. That's one of my favorite parts of the film for sure. I think
And
everything in that is great.
And it's so incredible because it's the narrative point, like it's so short lived. Like we get this glimmer of hope that comes as a result of this sequence, but not like, maybe a half hour or an hour, I'm not sure how much screen time later, it comes crashing down, and it's so short lived. And it's
The
what
next
makes
time
it
you see
better.
Gollum.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they get taken in by Faramir's men, right? So yeah, it's not much longer.
Oh, it's the glimmer of sunshine as the clouds go away, and then they come right back.
Oh, sorry. I did have one more scene that
Of course.
I love the Ent March on Isengard. That's also I'd hazard to say my favorite battle scene in Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
I love the playfulness of the hobbits and Fangorn working together, or Treebeard rather, working together. I love like the scenes of them unleashing the dam, and the one that gets set on fire by the orcs and then puts his hair or the fire out when the water comes in. It's just such a it's visually interesting, it's fun, and it's also like, I guess there's not a lot of tension in that scene of who's gonna win, so I guess it's not truly a battle. It's more of a, I don't know, they're just winning. So not a fair comparison to Helm's Deep or Pelennor Fields, but yeah, definitely one of my favorite scenes in this film though.
Cool.
Outside of scenes, I mentioned horror, humor. Peter Jackson does a good job of using humor, and I think especially often that falls on Gimli, whether it's Gimli like standing on a box, or being told that he needs to stand on a box, or standing between two ladders and taking orcs out as they walk up the top of the ladders, or being thrown by Aragorn. He tends to be like the source of the humor, at least in
Toast
that
me.
sort of.
I can't make the jump. You have to toast me.
Don't tell the elf.
Don't tell the elf.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful part of this film. And Pete, you were mentioning some of the music. I love the Shire theme, the Mordor theme, the Isengard theme. Like those are, whenever they show up, it makes me happy, if not emotional. So that's one of the main elements that keeps coming up in the film that I love. As far as characters, I mentioned Wormtongue. Gollum, I think that's one of the things that makes Two Towers different from Return of the King. I think there's a lot more focus on Gollum, especially when they first meet him, and then that back and forth between Smeagol and Gollum. I think that's one of my favorite elements of Two Towers that feels unique to Two Towers as opposed to Return of the King, and especially Fellowship, which barely has any of him. And then Treebeard would probably be my favorite character in Two Towers, and he doesn't show up much in either Return of the King. So the whole Ent element and Fangorn and their trip with the Ent Drod and yeah. So I've got a bunch of quotes down here as well that I'd be willing to read if you guys are interested. That like were moments where I teared up during this film this last time I watched it, which don't necessarily mean that the scene itself is phenomenal, but like the fact that it pulls on my heartstrings so many times is also something that'll always bring me back to the Two Towers.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Get me a tissue box.
Well,
what? This is your show, man. What? What are you looking at me for?
okay. Brady, you better tell me something that you like about this film. And you got to think of at least one thing.
Okay, well, so I mean, Helm's Deep for sure is a great fight. It's a lot of fun, especially the moment when the elves show up. That's really cool.
The hug that he gives Haldir.
Yeah, that's epic. I do like the exorcism.
I've never considered it before, but that is really an exorcism.
Yeah. I like Gandalf swindling the guards as they're like, you would not part an old man from his walking stick. Yeah.
And then proceeds to walk in not using his staff.
Yeah, not using it. He's hiding it.
And I mean, the guards are in on it to a degree.
Gandalf the Grey. Yeah.
Stormcrow.
Yeah, so that's fun. Obviously the Balrog intro is a lot of fun.
Yes.
Some
might say the best intro in all of cinema.
Because we're talking about the extended edition, I do like when Merry and Pippin get into the Ent water and they're growing as a result of it. That's fun.
Or the Tom Bombadil scene that they gave to Treebeard.
Yeah.
Where he tells old man Willow to go to sleep and drink water and eat earth. Let those hobbits go.
Yeah. So that's all fun. I do like the dialogue during the fish stew scene, which I found a recipe online for just now, by the way. Like specifically that one.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
You'll have to send it over here too.
I feel so not cultured that
And
I
so
don't
it actually
have a
was
favorite
fish soup?
Unsalted butter, olive oil, thinly sliced leeks, cooked potatoes, white wine, chicken stock, water, halibut, spinach, and salt and pepper.
There you go.
Sounds wonderful.
That
A
actually
hobbit
doesn't
would be
sound terrible.
proud.
No.
So Aragorn was just being a little bit of a bitch when he was given that. But I do like that.
All the good ingredients cooked wrong still doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
so.
That is true.
But I do like that, the king has a good memory. He was only a small boy at the time.
Yeah.
He cannot be, what?
Yeah.
That would make you nearly 60 or, whatever
Must
it
be
is.
70.
Yeah.
Not 80.
Yeah. So that's fun. What else do I like?
The end credits, apparently.
Man, I do.
Those end credits are so long in the extended.
Of note, the end credits song is fire. I really enjoy it? It's so bittersweet. Maybe less sweet, more bitter.
Is
And
that
it's just
the
so
Gollum
melancholy.
song?
I think that's what it's called, the Gollum song.
Oh, okay.
Was lost.
Yes. Yeah.
I do like I do like sort of the bond that's formed between Frodo and Smeagol, even though you know that it's going nowhere good. There is sort of this like, this is the first person in hundreds of years who has been capable of empathizing with Smeagol.
Right.
Who understands the weight and also is looking at Smeagol, seeing what becomes of him, what becomes of Frodo if Frodo holds on to this thing.
Right, a glimpse into the future.
Yeah.
Well, also just seeing the kind of struggle that nobody else can resonate with the same way.
Yeah. That's mostly it. Yeah. What's the next category?
Oh,
Can I read you some of my favorite quotes real quick?
Well, actually,
Just 'cause
Marshall,
you're so cool.
I didn't want to cut you off, but while I thought it would make sense, our last category is this film truly perfect, and how does it fit into the series and this chapter? Do you want to do your quotes now, or do you want to include?
Well, yeah,
it with
I'd
that?
say they're things I enjoy, and I wouldn't
Sure.
say that they necessarily fall in that category.
Okay, then you do them now.
Sure. They're all sort of like ones that resonate for sort of that core. Do you have hope or not, and whether or not your heart is towards doing good in the world, sort of thing. So the first one is when Aragorn is having that conversation with Legolas, and Legolas mentions in Elvish that like they're all gonna die, and Aragorn yells out in Common, "Then all will die" is one of them, and there's this moment of like he's so integral to this story and to the story of Middle Earth. Like he's one of the last, if not the last, heirs to the throne, and he's saying like, I'm throwing my allegiance in with this specific group of humans that I'm with because I value the importance of their mission. That one made me emotional. When Mary's talking to Treebeard and he's like, oh yeah, like we've barely said anything at the Entmoot, and like then he comes back and he says like, we've decided this isn't our war, and Mary says, but you're part of this world, aren't you? Like this call to like, come on, like you need to do what is best for this world. And then a little bit later,
Marshall, just to stop you, both of these quotes that you mentioned, I also remember, obviously, just because we've all watched these films and we know them in and out.
For sure.
But those specific lines, I just feel like can hit at different time and points in history, and I feel like they can just really resonate with things that we can all relate to, whether it's now or world events 10 years ago. Like whenever you watch them, it just really resonates with human, where our picture, where we fit in the human picture of like being humans together and co-living and helping one another. And yeah, those are really good quotes. I'm sorry, I wanted to jump in there.
I just got two more. The one is when Theoden has essentially lost hope. He thinks that Rohan is gonna go down, Helm's Deep is failing, and he says, what can man do against such reckless hate? And this was specifically for me one that hit in a different way than it ever has before, with all of the political things that are going on and wars going on in our current world. That just like really hit me in a different way, and that one also really made me emotional. But the biggest one, the one I like really teared up for a lot this time around, and I mean probably every single time I've watched The Two Towers, is when Frodo and Sam are having the conversation. Sam's just saved Frodo from the Nazgul, and he's been so taken over by the ring in that moment that he doesn't even notice Sam, and he's like, why are we doing this? Like how are we gonna ever succeed with this? And Sam says, like, there's something good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for, right? That's what they're searching for. That's what they're going. That's the hope they have, and that was just has always been an important line to me, but it was definitely the most impactful line for me this time around.
So we've watched these, like we were of the age where we all watched these when we were far younger, And now as we're watching them as adults, like just a line that just was so hollow, but now resonates so much as what can you do against such hopelessness, or in this case, such reckless hate? Like it's such a impactful line. And you're right. It's, I guess it probably comes after he says this, but Sam essentially answers that question of, this is what this is worth fighting for, and we have something worth fighting for, and that's what gives you strength. Yeah,
that there's some good in the world.
There's whatever good there is, it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Good quotes. Well, my question will then be, to wrap this up, is this truly a perfect film or a perfect series? And is this the best chapter of the film? But I feel like we've let the cat out of the bag a few times here.
I'll go. It's not a perfect film.
Oh, come on.
It's not the best in the series.
Here.
Boo.
But it's not a bad movie. It's not a movie I dislike.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right. What about you, Marshall?
Near perfect. It is not perfect.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we spent more time talking about the negatives of this film than the positives, but I'd say overall, the reason we're bringing those little things up is because the rest of the film is just so friggin' great. For me personally, my preference is Fellowship, then Two Towers, then Return of the King. It's not always been that order, but that's how it currently is for me. And it's for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned about the Two Towers.
I will say, I forgot to piggyback on your comment on this, and then I'll give my answer here. I've always considered that, yes, these films have aged well in the 20 years, but you made the point, and you foresee them still continuing to age well, and I've never considered that, and I completely agree. Like, there's nothing outlandish that I go, ooh, politically this might not age well, or that might not age well, or visually this might not do this, or story-wise this is a little mundane. Like, this thing has legs. Like,
at least the first two do.
At least the first two.
I think Return of the King, that's the one I've noticed a lot of CGI that doesn't age it quite as well. But it's because I think it'll get worse as we...
And it's very battle-heavy and, effects.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
So, my answer to this. I did not like Frodo as much in Return of the King. I found him whiny and complaining. There's way more Frodo conflict in this film, which is good. More than in Fellowship. And to me, it's fine, because it's not to the point of annoyance. So this is... That's a good in my books.
Yeah, it is balanced.
Yeah. In this film, there are some elements that are perfect. At times, there are things that don't hit me as much, but when I analyze them or pick them with a fine-tooth comb, I don't know if it's that they're not good. It's just that when you've seen something dozens of times, maybe it doesn't hit as much as it once did. So is it perfect? Maybe. Is it incredible, but bumped up with nostalgia in my mind? Maybe. But it's quite honestly, for me, the best chapter of the trilogy. And it goes Two Towers, Fellowship, and Return of the King. And again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This specific chapter is perfect, and the sum of the parts are greater than the individual. And so as a one big long story, it is also a perfect story. Which I think leaves us with one last thing to do. And that would be to score this puppy.
Scale of 0 to 10, sir. How do you rate it?
This is a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
For a long time, Lord of the Rings, I would just say I consider them one film. It's a 10 out of 10, and it's my favorite film of all time. And in the past 3 or 4 years, I've started being willing, like I said, to notice the things that I don't like about the films. And as I've done that, I've realized that the gap between the Fellowship and the Two Tower has been growing for me, and it left the 10 out of 10s for me a little bit ago. And it has now officially left my top 25 as well. So it's slowly being replaced by other films I enjoy more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
9 out of 10.
Fair
Near
enough.
perfect, but not perfect. Definitively not perfect.
Okay. Well, I'll go next. On my scale, obviously, it's the best. It's worth seeing in theaters, obviously. No question. And I usually call this my scale, but because it was Marshall's scale and Marshall is joining us for nostalgic purposes, I will say on Marshall's scale, which is a traditional 0 out of 10, this does something that it has something in common with 2 other films on my top 25 list. This is one of the 3 films I have given a 10 out of 10.
Wow. 3 films.
Mm-hmm. And that is what I give this. What do you give this film?
I give it a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the lowest, that'll be my lowest score.
Because you were in the 8-ish range for the other... No, 9 something.
8.6 for
Fellowship.
And don't give away my...
Sorry.
I-
Return of the King was to be decided.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Have you even seen it?
Planning on it.
Yeah. Okay, so 7. That's still respectable. I'm a little hurt by it. I will dream and have
Good but not great.
tears. Yeah, good enough but not great. Okay. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and we all have different opinions.
Man. I have a question for you guys.
Is the question, would you have killed Wormtongue?
No.
Okay. Would you have?
Would I have
Like-
killed Wormtongue? No,
like,
because too much death has gone on under his rule. Why
But,
add more?
A heck of a lot more death comes as the result of him leaving, so...
Oh, come on. He's just a pawn. Saruman. Sharky's the wrong guy. He's the ringleader. No,
Sure.
I'm curious, if you guys could choose to live in any part of Middle Earth, where would you live?
Ooh.
Oh, easy. Hands down.
I know Brady's answer, and it's Mordor. No, it's just...
The Iron Hills.
My people.
Yeah.
I kind of alluded to this in an upcoming episode.
Lols.
I think I would pick Rohan.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it like you guys. I think just the Norse element to it, the rustic element, the companionship with horses, how it's not as it's not
Anywhere
as...
in Middle Earth, you're choosing Rohan?
Oh, actually, sorry, screw that. No, yeah.
What are you
sorry.
talking about?
It was
I
recency
mean, I'd
bias.
pick Rohan over Gondor.
Yeah,
but
sorry, recency
not over
biased.
Like
almost
Rivendell?
anywhere.
Rivendell, 120% Rivendell.
Rivendell?
Yeah, Rivendell. Big time.
I'm hands down the Shire.
Knew that. Called
Hands
it.
down.
Yep.
Just because life is so like
Priorities.
I've always talked about like I want to go to Ireland but I don't want to just like I don't want to go to Dublin or any of these big cities. I want to go to like cobblestone walls
Yep.
and potato fields, and I want to go like the Shire is just so, especially after like the destruction of the ring and stuff like that. There's just there's no worries. There's nothing.
Unless we're talking about the books.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, but after
in the
that's
film.
dealt with. After that's dealt with. Yeah. After we rebuild from Zephyr. But no, but I it's just like your job if you live in Hobbiton is to drink beer, eat food, and get fat, and
Maybe do some gardening.
smoke some pipe weed and do a little gardening,
Right.
and like, and it just
And
seems
give-
like such a merry existence.
Give gifts to your friends on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Marshall,
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. It's so good. It's
Proud
so good.
foots.
Proud feet. Yeah.
Marshall,
For me, it's Brie. I've
Yeah, you didn't
grown
ask
to
him. You jerk.
really love.
Oh, it did.
He did
Yeah.
very briefly. Yeah, Brie has become my favorite place because it's so close to
Yeah, you could come visit.
everything that goes on in the Shire, but
Right.
it mentions, especially in the books, how it's kind of like a passageway for a lot of travelers. So you see orcs there, you see elves there,
Oh, yeah,
you
that's what you
see
want.
the rangers there. So that you hear the news of the world of Middle Earth there, and there's this like interesting mix of the tall people and the little people together, where
Right.
it's not so one raced
Yeah.
the way
A
a lot of
melting-
the other places are.
A melding pot, if you will.
And plus, it's not entirely out of the question to go have
And
a
it's
campfire
always
on top of
raining,
Weathertop.
apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm
Apparently.
totally down for that.
And some guy's always gnawing on a carrot on the street.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, do you guys like his cameo in this movie?
I don't know if I
Yeah.
know this. I'm sure I do.
The spear guy throwing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the cameo in Fellowship is the best one.
Yes.
It's definitely
But-
the most unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I also noticed this time when Aragorn's giving that speech about I'll die as one of them. Behind him are a couple of the guys you see in all of the documentaries. The one guy, I don't remember his name, but the other was Alan Lee, one of the conceptual
artists.
directors, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I've never
he's in the
noticed that.
background.
I'll have to take a look
Yeah.
at that.
All right, sir, wrap this
it's
up
great.
for us.
All right. Well, thank you, Marshall, for joining us.
My
As always,
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
very welcome.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for listening, for the listener. Check out the upcoming Return of the King episode coming out shortly. Check out the Fellowship episode, even though it's not as good as Two Towers, because Two Towers is the best. Check out both the other episodes. Check check out our socials below. Like, follow,
Rafflecopter.
check out the socials below. Like, follow, subscribe. Leave us a like and a comment. We love hearing from you. Check out our Patreon page, merchandise page. Help support and grow the show. Thank you to all our patrons for supporting us. And until next time, what's a good Lord of the Rings? thing to say?
Wait. Before you end,
Yeah.
I'm guessing you guys didn't do the Why You Watch this week because you're going to throw all of the films together. But can I tell you what I watched this week?
Sure.
Because I haven't, send you guys an audio clip or anything lately.
Yeah.
So this actually has an interesting connection with this film.
Okay.
This week, I watched twice in theaters David Cronenberg's new film, Crimes of the Future, which features Viggo Mortensen, and the soundtrack is by Howard Shore.
Ooh. Very interesting. What did you give it out of 10?
It's an 8.
Oh,
8 out of 10.
so respectable.
Yeah, it's not for anyone. It's
Okay.
it's definitely not for the squeamish. Though, Pete, you're in the medical field. Maybe you might not be as put off by surgery, which is definitely one of the elements that's in this film. But
Okay.
I thought it was a good film. Interesting
Yeah.
questions. Good sci-fi.
How the hell do you do the job that you do?
What do you mean?
Maybe this will be your new favorite film.
You see, like, guts and stuff.
So do people in Pelennor Fields.
Yeah, but then we watch, like, I'm like, oh, we're going to watch a movie with guts. And you're like, oh.
It's different. Like, if it's Saw, it's not consensual. Like, someone's getting tortured and maimed and... Not that we've
This
reviewed
is-
Saw, but...
Not yet.
This has some
I have seen it.
consensual guts in it.
Consensual cuts.
That was the runner-up we were going to name our podcast.
Marshall, anything else that you saw recently, or is that the main one you wanted to tie in?
That's the main one. Actually, I also watched for the first time so that I could listen to your review of it before coming on.
Oh.
I watched Scream for the first time.
No way! What did you think?
Yes. I was getting caught up on a couple of your most recent films, and that's one of the ones that I hadn't seen, and I did want to watch it before I listened to the review, and I was pleasantly surprised. I've heard
right?
a lot of people talk about Cabin in the Woods as being that like meta horror film that's so good. I think Scream's way better.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it more than I thought I... Well,
Yeah.
I was intrigued. yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's a pleasant surprise.
I plan on
It is.
continuing the series at some point in
yeah,
my life.
you should. All right, wrap
Well,
it up.
I did. Well,
Okay, well,
we'll do Return of the Kings and have a second ending.
yeah,
Thank you for listening.
all right, bye.
Bye.
Lol.